Hellcat.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are doing What If Deku Was the Reincarnation of Goku, Part 2. And, tonight, guys, and maybe even tomorrow, I'll be finishing off some old what ifs that I hadn't exactly finished, or I just left, because they were either not popular enough, or I had other stuff to do, so I got rid of some that I just really didn't want to finish, or the videos were just unnecessary. So if you guys go like, what if Deku had determination? That one wasn't popular at all. Or the one with full counter, if you guys even watched those. They weren't really popular at all. And this one actually, through 2 months, got 1,000 views. So it seemed that it can get the rest of the series. So tonight I'll be posting a part 2 for this, which is this video, and a full series. Okay, so we continue this off as we just finished the USJ, I do believe. And if we didn't, rip. Anyway, Izuku and his classmates, they were doing some training over the break while they were preparing for the sports festival. And Izuku, being the reincarnation of Goku, he trained a lot over that time. And he mastered some new techniques like the Destructo Disc, and he actually grew a tail. If I already said that in the other part, I do apologize, but I'm just going off of the 5 minutes I watched of my video. Anyway, I'll have that linked in the description, by the way, guys. Anyway, Izuku, coming back for the USJ, when midnight starts the event, Izuku just starts running immediately. If I said he could fly in the last part, he can't. Because he doesn't have anyone to teach him how to fly. He doesn't have Tenshinhan or like Master Roshi. He doesn't have any of those types of teachers to tell him how to fly at all. And Izuku, he's just going off of pure speed, but he's really fast still, guys. And if you guys haven't watched Dragon Ball Z, I'd suggest you watch it. It's a great anime. It's probably one of the best of all time, in my opinion. If you guys can debate that in the comments, I don't honestly care. Anyway, Izuku, immediately as the race starts, he uses his power pole that he has, and immediately goes into first, while Todoroki is closely behind him. And Izuku's just like kind of Naruto running. And Shoto is throwing ice, like little ice blasts at him, but Izuku's just dodging out of the way. But eventually he turns around, does a massive ki blast at him. And Todoroki dodges this, but barely, and he's like, dang, he's gotten quicker at that. And Izuku then, right as Todoroki gets out of the smoke, he pelts Todoroki with massive ki blasts, and this sends Todoroki flying back into the massive crowd he put with ice, and he's getting stomped on. And eventually he ends up in last, and he's now making his way back to the front. And at this time, Izuku is now at the 0 pointers, and he quickly runs under them, but when one tries to stomp on him, he quickly dodges and uses his power pole to extend it onto the robot's face, and it goes through its head, but this doesn't do much to the robot. And the robot simply whacks Deku into the other robot, really damaging Deku. That's when Deku flies up and uses a final flash and basically obliterates the other 0 pointers. And he then just does a ki blast onto the other 0 pointer, and then he quickly falls back. Why did I say fly? he stood on his power pole. Okay, guys, we'll say that. And he has good balance. If I ever say fly, guys, just assume he can't fly. No one can teach him. So, I just want to really say that point. Anyway, yeah. So Deku, now being in first, when he eventually reaches the bridge part, he just quickly goes over the giant gap while running on the little rope, and eventually gets to the other side, and that's when he sees Todoroki with passion in his eyes trying to catch up to Deku, and he sends a massive iceberg at Deku, and Deku quickly runs away from it, but that's right before he's like, well, why is it so cold? As he sees the iceberg is right behind him, and it nearly, swallows him. And that's when Todoroki, being basically gassed out, he keeps running. But instead of just, climbing, walking on the rope, he makes it a massive ice bridge. But when he gets to the other side, he just breaks it in half. Anyway, Izuku eventually reaching the minefield is like, okay, he doesn't look like he's that far behind me. So I'll quickly do this. As he slams his power pole against one of the mines, as Izuku goes flying towards the finish line. And Izuku's like, I can do it. As he slams his power pole again onto the mine. And Izuku's like, yes, I'll get there. As he launches himself off of his power pole, and he keeps going, and he eventually reaches the exit, and he gets first place, and that's right after Todoroki was right behind him, and Todoroki, right as Izuku passed the finish line, yanked Izuku's collar back, and that's when he hears Todoroki Shoto for second place, and Izuku's like, yes. Shoto's like, I was so close, as he storms off, angry. And Bakugo eventually gets third. And now, we go into the cavalry battle. Izuku's team will be his normal team. I don't see anything changing that. And Uraraka now already knows a good bit about martial arts, I'll say. Because she's friends with Izuku, so you can imagine she's quite skilled at it, to say the least. Because she actually trains with Deku sometimes. Because they're really close friends, I'll say in this. Anyway, Izuku now, sometimes Izuku would train with Uraraka, and he felt this power inside of him. It was Super Saiyan, guys. It was Super Saiyan. And he couldn't quite break this power out. But little does he know, he has massive potential. We'll say a Gohan level potential. He's so Izuku is shy, but not in this one. It's like an outgoing Gohan. Think of it like that. Anyway, Izuku, when the cavalry battle starts, everybody rushes him, and Izuku immediately sends an array of ki blasts in front of him, making a massive, smoke screen. And that's when they fly up into the air, and they see Todoroki meet him up in the sky. And Todoroki made this massive, ice pillar to stand on. And he's like, it doesn't count if it's not the floor, as he begins shooting projectiles at Izuku. And Izuku just shoots him down with a ki blast. And that's when Deku sends a Kamehameha. Actually, no, not a Kamehameha. I'll just say another final flash over to Todoroki. And Todoroki just tells to himself, yes. As he dodges out of the way of the blast. And he sends a giant, a beast of ice. And it grabs both of Deku's arms and his legs as Todoroki runs over to him with the ice, and he's like, yes, I'll get the headband, as Bakugo shoots a pinpoint accuracy onto type of explosion shot, basically like the AP shot, under Todoroki's legs as Todoroki, right as he went to grab the headband, he missed and fell. And right as Todoroki was about to hit the ground, he did the thing he does against Bakugo. He kind of does the surfing thing. And that's when Todoroki gets back to his team. And Deku breaks out of the ice and is like, I'm coming back, as Uraka's like, understood, as Deku then sends a massive ki blast hurling towards the arena, and it's like a small spirit bomb, and say it's like the size of the entire arena, except just not the inner part, with like the outline of the crowd. Anyway, Izuku and his team began getting other teams' points, and by the time the time is nearly up, it's 1,000,900, and second place is Todoroki's team, who's trying to get to Deku, but they can't quite seem to do it. And Bakugo keeps trying to chase after Monoma, who keeps stealing his points. But near the end, Bakugo gets his points back against Monoma, and Izuku and Todoroki have their last encounter, as Deku sends his new technique, the Gallic gun, hurling over to Todoroki. As Todoroki dodges over it, Deku sends it coming right back at him, and Todoroki wasn't expecting this, so he got hit with the blast, and this nearly knocked him unconscious as he fell, just to be caught by Momo. Anyway, that's when the time is up, and Deku's team... one sec, guys. Deku's team gets first place, and Shinzo's, as always, gets fourth. But when Midnight is talking about the events, 3 of the members actually forfeit in Shinzo's team. Anyway, Izuku is first off against Shinzo himself. And Deku, being a kind-hearted person, tells... when the match starts, Shinzo asks him a question. Is like, how does it feel to be born with such a powerful quirk? Izuku thinks to himself, well, it's not really a quirk per se. And Shinzo is like, well, what's your answer? As Deku's just like, it's no time for talking after all. As he says that in his head, as he immediately bolts to Shinzo. And Shinzo wasn't expecting this, so Deku arrives just above his head and kicks him dead in the face into the crowd. And Shinzo, now in a little crater, he's like, how did he do that? As Midnight announces, Izuku Midoriya is the winner! And yeah. Next, we have Deku versus Todoroki. And when that match starts, Todoroki's like, I'll end this quickly. As he makes one massive crystal, except it keeps shooting icicles on its own. And Todoroki's like, I learned that technique just for you, Izuku, as you are my greatest rival. As Todoroki keeps making these little creations, as eventually he makes 5 of them, and Deku is struggling to dodge because they're extremely fast. And Todoroki eventually gets one to hit Izuku in the gut, and Deku, trying to recover from this, immediately grabs Todoroki because Todoroki went in for a more physical hit, and Deku grabbed him by the neck and with his powerful launched them up into the sky. And as they reach the clouds, Izuku sends him hurling down, and Izuku uses a final flash to send Todoroki into the ground. And Todoroki, having to just accept his fate, that he might even die to this blast, as Deku realizes this as he hears a massive boom. And Cementos was barely able to save the crowd, as there's all kinds of damage in the middle. The arena is completely destroyed, so Cementos makes a new one. And yeah, on to the next round. Next, we have... I forgot who it was. Oh yeah, Ida. And in the Deku versus Ida one, Ida immediately starts off by kicking Deku in the head, knocking him off of his guard. And Ida immediately goes to throw him out of the arena, grabbing him by both of his legs and throwing him out, using his Recipro Burst as like a massive hurl, as Izuku's hurling towards the arena floor, as Izuku then, with his power pole, makes him stop. And he's like, "You're quick, Ida, but are you this quick?" As Izuku bolts towards Ida and punches him in the head with an uppercut. And he's like, "I always win, as you know," as he kicks Ida away. And as Ida's about to get near the edge of the arena, Ida puts a foot down, but then he gets hit by an unsuspecting Gallic gun. And Izuku gets him to the wall. And Izuku is the winner. Next, we have the Bakugo match. And when it starts, Bakugo immediately begins monologuing like, "Stupid Deku. I don't even know how you got this power. You don't even consider it a quirk anymore. What happened to you? Was it something as a kid? What was it? You got so much stronger than me. You left me in the dust. But now, as Bakugo starts making very fast lightning chains of explosions, he says, "I'll beat you this time," as Bakugo immediately sends 5 AP shots Izuku's way, and Izuku goes to dodge, and Bakugo then counters with 2 like very slow but very strong explosions that hit Izuku. And Izuku's like, "How is he this fast?" as Bakugo then comes up right below Izuku, and he tells him like, "This seems to be your loss here, Izuku," as he sends an AP shot point blank at Izuku's face. And Izuku, who barely gets his power pole in the way, actually deflects it at Bakugo, and this hits Bakugo's face head on. And when the dust settles, Izuku is standing above Bakugo, with Bakugo barely blocking it, but his hands having tons of skin ripped off, and Bakugo being unconscious. And Deku's like, "What? How did... I didn't know it would be that. You really put power into that. That would have for sure knocked me out." I nearly lost. As Bakugo is then rushed to the hospital, and Izuku is a little sad, like, there he goes. My thoughts and prayers are with you, Kachan. As the next day, Aizawa announces that they'll be picking hero names for their internships, and Izuku chooses the name Goku because it resembles I forgot the name of it. Sun Wukong. Something about that. All I know is that's like where Goku originates from. Anyway, Izuku's hero name will be Goku. And Aizawa was like, interesting name. Anyway, as he shows them all of their internship options, Izuku here got the most offers, and it seems you all will be able to get some great opportunities to enhance your skills. Some of you might pursue some of your quirk training, or some even physical aspects. Okay, so Izuku, I'll say, actually goes with Uraraka, and he goes with the person she interned with. And Izuku wanted to enhance his fighting skills, as Izuku gets even better at martial arts. As Uraraka and Deku learn a little of the basics, but when Uraraka isn't around, Deku gets harsh training from the person they intern under for some very advanced martial arts. Anyway, yeah, it's basically normal for them, and they figure out that their classmate Ida was nearly killed but saved by Todoroki. And Deku's like, oh my gosh, Ida, are you okay? As they're calling over the phone. And Ida's like, yeah, but I shouldn't have been alive there. That was my own fault. I don't deserve to be alive right now. As Deku just tries to cheer Ida up, but it's a depressing conversation. Anyway, next we have final exams. And as always, Momo has to get most of the class to study with her. And Bakugo with Kirishima. And Deku actually ends up going with Momo because he's not that smart. And on the day of the exams, Izuku barely passes, being 18th in his class. Izuku just says when he gets his results, looks like learning ain't my thing. And Aizawa was like, clearly. And now we go to the final exams hero portion. And when Aizawa announces the battle, Izuku and Bakugo versus All Might, and Deku's like, All Might? How are we supposed to beat him? And Bakugo's like, we'll beat him easily. He's old. But he's still number one. That's why we'll have to keep our guards up. But don't worry, Izuku. I'll be the one to absolutely demolish him. And you'll look like a weakling. As they start bickering. Anyway, when the match starts, Bakugo immediately gestures towards All Might. And Izuku just sends a final flash towards All Might. And he's like, well, that might do something. As Izuku gets up a building and he starts dashing along them towards the exit. And when the final flash reaches All Might, and that's by the time Bakugo and All Might were in a little clash, this catches All Might off guard, like, oh, Izuku's here? And All Might is surprised, like, I thought he would be doing something else, as All Might then focuses his attention from where the blast came, as he sends a massive fist of air over to there, like, okay, now I'll defeat him, as right as All Might sends another 20, pressurized air punches, he then hears over the loudspeakers, "Heroes win by escape." And it shows a picture on the intercom, and Deku is actually at the exit. And Bakugo thinks to himself, "What a freaking coward." As, yeah, that happens. Anyway, for the few people who didn't beat their exam, like Sero and Mina, what happened was they would get intermediate classes at the summer training camp. Excuse me. Anyway, we go into the summer training camp park, and as always, the Wild Pussycats meet up with Class 1A and put them into the forest. And Izuku, now trying to learn how to use his power pole to possibly fly, because one time with his final flash he did to Todoroki, he flew down with his tail, so he wonders if he can do it without the tail eventually. So that's what he came here to do. Anyway, eventually Class 1A gets back, and yeah, they do some training, and Izuku starts learning how to fly from just self-taught. And eventually one night they're doing a courageousness test, and they're attacked by the Vanguard Action Squad. And as always, Izuku goes over to Koda because he was worried about the kid who punched him in the nards. And Izuku comes over to Koda just to realize, oh, that's a very strong villain, as he barely gets Koda out of the way of the punch, and Muscular's like, "You're quite quick for just being a kid," as he uncloaks. And Izuku's like, "I won't let you hurt this kid," as Muscular and Deku begin to fight, but Deku's obviously outmatched pretty hard, and that's when Deku uses his strongest power he could muster, and he calls it limit breaker form, as he actually goes Ikari, and he begins making a little bit of a fight towards Muscular, but that's when Muscular lifts Izuku's hair up, and Izuku's like, "Stop," as Muscular hits him in the gut hard, like, "What a weak little weakling. Suits you, doesn't it?" As Izuku kicks him in the gut like, "I won't lose. I won't let you hurt innocent people anymore," as Izuku lets out a scream and goes into his Super Saiyan for the first time. And Izuku begins beating down on Muscular from then on. And Muscular's like, "How did he get this strong?" As Muscular then goes into his full power form, and it looks like Muscular and Izuku are matched up, but Izuku's still a little stronger. And Izuku kicks Muscular up into the sky, and Izuku also goes up into the sky, now flying, which he doesn't even realize he's doing, sends out a new type of energy. He makes a Keyblade, and he immediately goes over to Muscular and stabs him with it. He's like, "I won't let you hurt anybody," as he stabs Muscular through the heart, killing him. Anyway, Izuku eventually finds Shoji and Tokoyami with Dark Shadow, and eventually they lead him over to what's his name? The meat guy. The tooth guy. I forget his name. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, guys, and Moonfit, and they eventually lead Tokoyami to a Moonfish. Anyway, Izuku and Tokoyami and Shoji eventually meet up with Deku and Todoroki. And Deku starts talking with them, and they eventually find Uraraka and Sue and save them from Toga, and Toga just runs off. And that's when Mr. Compress takes Tokoyami and Bakugo, and Deku immediately turns Super Saiyan and flies over to Mr. Compress and fires a massive ki blast over at where Dabi was and the portal. And this vaporizes Mr. Compress, and Deku is in like an Akari form along with Super Saiyan. Kind of like Super Saiyan 4, but, just not. Anyway, Izuku then sees Dabi start about to burn the marbles. Like, what did these useless things do? As Izuku then shouts no as he sees both of his friends, what he thinks is melted. And that's when Dabi looks over to the kid like, maybe that'll set him into the blind rage the boss talked about. As the kid, aka Deku, starts screaming as loud as he can. And that's when he goes into Super Saiyan grade 2. And Izuku immediately buffs up and attacks Dabi and immediately knocks him out as he goes over to the marbles, and he's like, he was joking with me. As Bakugo and Tokoyami pop out of the marbles, and Mr. Compress's body hits the floor, finally. Okay. And eventually, everything happens in the end. And Momo still puts the tracker on the Nomu, and the Nomu might be the only one that escapes besides Spinner and a couple other select villains like Toga. Anyway, Izuku and his friends plan a little exhibition towards All for One's house, base. And when Izuku and Ida and his friends are looking through the warehouse, they spot the Nomus, and they're kind of surprised. And that's when Mount Lady comes through and, the raid happens. And eventually All Might comes over to All for One, and they start beating the crap out of each other. And All for One ends up getting defeated by why did I say Izuku? All Might eventually. But as this is happening, Izuku is still watching this. And right as All Might is about to get shredded, it seems, Izuku hops in with Super Saiyan Grade 2 and starts beating down on All for One. I won't let you touch him. As All Might is like, no, kid, get out. As All for One then grabs Izuku's face I'll finally get this quirk that everyone's talking about. As red energy surrounds Izuku. And when All for One kicks Izuku away yes, I have it. As Izuku then turns back to All for One wonder what he took. As Izuku powers back up into Super Saiyan Grade 2. And All for One's wait, what did I steal then? As Izuku then feels a jolt of power, and he's like, whoa, this is interesting. As All for One's did I just transfer my quirk? As Izuku feels all the quirks rush into his body, as his body starts trembling. And Izuku's come on, body, hold out while you still can. As Izuku powers up into Super Saiyan 3, and he's what is happening? As he feels his massive ki, and Izuku flies up, and with a transcendence final flash, I'll call it, and it's a really strong final flash, he sends it over to All For One, and All For One's like, I can't do anything. I just made one massive mistake. And that's when All For One is vaporized by the blast. And All Might watching this is like, so he has All For One. What now? Anyway, after that, Izuku and his classmates have another internship. And Izuku internships with Sir Night-Eye because All Might wanted him to watch Izuku. And Izuku is basically still a normal kid. And one day when they're patrolling, the Airy thing happens. And a couple days later, they raid the Chiazaikai organization. And Izuku eventually finds Overhaul, along with Mirio and Sir Night-Eye being there. And Izuku immediately powers up into Super Saiyan 2, like, okay, let's use this new power and all these quirks, as Izuku makes his hands all, like, rigid with metal. And Overhaul then immediately sends one of his spikes into Izuku, and Izuku then just shatters it in half by looking at it, and he regenerates immediately. And Overhaul's like, he's the kid with All For One. I need to kill him. As Izuku then shoots a massive ki blast at Overhaul, and Overhaul is like, okay. As it blows off half of Overhaul's leg, and Overhaul just regenerates it, and he's like, I can't defeat that kid. As Mirio, who has One For All, then gets back up. I can do this, Izuku. Let me do this. As Overhaul begins fighting Mirio, and Mirio eventually takes the battle outside where Overhaul is later defeated by Mirio. And like a month later, we have the school festival, and Izuku defeats Gentle Criminal as always, with La Brava being a sad girl. And Izuku does the hero too. And yeah, the Endeavor thing happens as always. And yeah, that's what I'll be leaving off on part 2 of What If Deku was the reincarnation of Goku. And that's the end of the series also. So yeah, this is me signing off. Bye-bye. Also, guys, there will be no full series. I just want to say that because, when I was making storage for more videos so I can make, because I was out of storage, I deleted the part 1 of this. So I just want to let you know there will be no full series. Anyway, this is me signing off. Bye-bye.